So we're about to peel back the drywall and take a look at all the hidden systems that make a house a real home. We're going to see how it's transformed from just a simple structure into a living, breathing machine.
I mean, think about it. You flip a switch, you turn a faucet, you adjust a thermostat, but what's actually making all that happen? There's this incredibly complex network of pipes and wires and ducts. It's a whole world that most of us never, ever get to see. So where do you find the blueprint for all this stuff? Not in some stuffy engineering textbook. Nope. We found it in a much more interesting place. The website for a 24/7 plumbing and HVAC company. And as it turns out, their list of services? It's the perfect guide to the secret anatomy of a modern home. Okay, first up, let's tackle the most fundamental system of all, water. The best way to think about it is like your home's circulatory system. It's constantly moving, providing life and, carrying away all the waste. Now this system has two totally distinct taps. You've got clean water, which is actively pushed into your home under pressure, then it's heated and treated for your faucets. But wastewater? That's completely different. It relies almost entirely on gravity. The drains, disposals, and sewer lines, they're all designed and sloped just right to let gravity do the hard work, pulling everything you've used safely away. So that brings us to the water that isn't neatly contained in all those pipes. The water that's trying to get in from the outside, threatening your foundation, your basement. How does a home defend itself against that? Well, this little workhorse right here is your first line of defense. As the ground gets saturated, water collects in a dedicated little pit in your basement. But before it can flood, the sump pump automatically kicks on, pumping that water safely away from your foundation. It's brilliant.
But what about, say, a bathroom in the basement? This is where that whole gravity-fed system just breaks down, right? That's where a sewer ejector pump comes in. It's basically this small, powerful grinder pump that does the opposite of a normal drain. It actively pushes waste up to the main sewer line, completely defying gravity.
Okay, but think about the worst-case scenario. A massive rainstorm rolls in and knocks out the power. Suddenly, your main sump pump is just a piece of metal sitting in a pit that's filling up with water fast. This is why a battery backup is so absolutely critical. It's a completely separate, redundant pump that takes over the second the power fails. I mean, talk about priceless peace of mind.
But just like any circulatory system, sometimes things get blocked. And when your home's main drain gets clogged, it's like a critical artery being blocked. It can bring everything to a grinding halt.
The modern solution for this is basically pressure washing for the inside of your pipes. It's called hydrojetting, and it uses a specialized hose to blast water at incredibly high pressure. It just scours the pipe walls clean of grease, invading tree roots, years of gunk. It's the ultimate reset for your home's drainage pathways.
All right, now let's move from the circulatory system to the respiratory system, the air you breathe. This network is responsible for keeping you comfortable and healthy, and it manages a lot more than just temperature. It's also handling humidity and purity.
This is the part we're all pretty familiar with. On one side, you've got your heating systems like furnaces and boilers. On the other, cooling systems like central AC. And then you have heat pumps, which are these really clever devices that can actually do both.
But our feeling of comfort, it goes so far beyond just the number on the thermostat. It's really about the actual quality of the air we're breathing, moment to moment. And this is where we find even more hidden components. Humidifiers that add moisture for those dry winters. Dehumidifiers that pull it out during sticky summers. Some systems even use UV lights inside the ductwork to neutralize viruses and bacteria. And fresh air ventilators. They make sure you're not just breathing the same stale, recycled air all day long.
Okay, finally, let's look at the home's nervous system. This is the network of sensors and smart devices that monitor conditions, make decisions, and can even protect the home from itself.
So the command center of the modern HVAC system is the smart thermostat, like a Nest or an Ecobee. It learns your habits to save energy. And when you pair it with zoning systems, it can control these little dampers in your ductwork to direct air precisely where it's needed, which finally eliminates those hot and cold spots in the house.
So, your home is now smart enough to be comfortable and efficient. Great. But is it smart enough to handle a disaster? A burst pipe, a leaking water heater, what happens then?
This is where the nervous system develops reflexes. So instead of you discovering a flood hours after it started, the home can now sense the problem instantly and take action all on its own.
Take a smart water shutoff valve.
It constantly monitors your home's water flow patterns. The very second it detects an abnormal flow, like from a burst pipe, it automatically closes the main water valve to the entire house. It's an automated reflex that can prevent catastrophic damage.
And some threats are completely invisible. Radon is a naturally occurring radioactive gas that can seep in from the ground. A mitigation system is basically a dedicated vent that constantly pulls air from beneath your foundation and just exhausts it outside, protecting your home's long-term respiratory health.
And all this really brings us to the main takeaway. These systems are not separate. The nervous system detects a flood to protect the home structure. The respiratory system's quality depends on the circulatory system's integrity. They are all deeply, deeply interconnected.
And it's pretty amazing to think how far we've come. The very town this plumber's site is from, Northbrook, it was once called Shermerville and was known for its rowdy saloons. So in a little over a century, its homes have evolved from simple farmhouses to these complex ecosystems with automated reflexes and centralized brains. It's just wild.
It really makes you wonder. We take indoor plumbing and central air completely for granted today. Our kids might take automated leak protection for granted tomorrow. So what's next? What's the next revolutionary system that will become a standard, unseen part of our home's secret anatomy?